Hello and welcome back. It is still Hello Nigeria. We're live here on Wazobia Max. And as promised before the break, we have our guest in studio. Yes, our guest is and also the author of The Pressure Cooker, Life Lessons from a Woman at Work, as well as the founder of the Lighthouse Network. She has an extensive experience in corporate communications, and she is a corporate communications executive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to have with us here as our Woman Wednesday for today, Nkiru Olumide Ojo.
Thank you so
much. Thanks for joining us in Hello Nigeria.
Thank you very much for coming. Now, I have so many questions for people who know you, and I did mean phenomenal when I said phenomenal, because I was saying to my producer before you walked in, don't be fooled by her young look, so she's she's a boss lady. So, first of all, I was reading, an interview, a write-up about you, and they talked about the fact that growing up in Port Harcourt, you were told a number of times, be a girl. Don't you know you're a girl? Because whilst boys were climbing trees, and so you wanted to join them. How would you describe growing up and being aware that you were a woman and you had to do certain limitations in what you could achieve?
Right. So I think that the people who made those statements, I mean, I went everywhere with my cousin, Osita. He's a doctor today, actually. I went everywhere with him, and he climbed trees, I climbed. He rode the bike to the next street, I did. And then we'd come home, and they'll say to Osita, they'll say nothing to Osita, then they'll turn to me and say, don't you know you're a girl? Why should you be going that far? And then it occurred to me, way later what they meant. It was supposed to be a somewhat restraining statement. And I thought, hey, if Osita can do it, then why can't I? So I think that the lesson that I learned from that is be careful how you raise children and what you do say to them. You must let them be. You must let girls start thinking from an early age that they can do as much and as wide as they'd like to do, in the course of life. So Port Harcourt was also is also a no-holds-barred society. We said it as it was. No, I mean, you just pretty much said what you thought. And it was in that sort of boldness, that I grew up. Over time, I had to become an adult to dial myself down, and say, hey, don't say that, they run away. But otherwise, that's the environment that I grew up in.
All right. Now, many questions. Again, apart from you being a child and knowing that, they also tell you as a woman about to get married, don't do that, don't do that, don't achieve too much. Let me tell you a story.
They actually told a friend of mine that she drives a car.
Yes.
So that might scare away guys.
My friend didn't get a master's because she wasn't sure if her husband would have. True story. I mean, I went to school with her and I was like, oh, but you're going to get a master's. No, when she gets married, she's not sure if, her husband will not have a master's.
No, what does he have to do with anything?
Now, in your book, you talk about working as a single woman and then transitioning to working as a married woman. So obviously, your husband met you working.
Yes,
how was that experience like? Did people tell you that you're not going to get married or marry on time because you were too ambitious?
I heard that. I heard that a lot. And I think that the sort of questions I asked myself was, if I said my ambition was to marry a man and then do nothing, which actually is a vision of a friend of mine, would anyone have said to me, you're ambitious? Why should I want to be many things? Why should I say I want to be UN Secretary General and you say to me, oh, that would limit you? So I think that you should be aware of those restraining statements and those limiting things that, people say to you. And for your friend who, didn't have very important masters, look, tell her that masters is like having an A-level these days. Everyone does.
Exactly.
Literally everyone. So she's just setting herself back. And who says that, is not in the master's class or in the PhD class that she'd find her partner? So be careful not to be limited. I mean, obviously, don't go crazy and wild, but be careful not to be limited by other people's views and thoughts. I don't think that you need their approval to make progress.
Wonderful.
And how important was family in shaping you to who you are today?
Okay, family played.
Did you have disciplined parents or were they liberals?
How many parents were
back then?
They flogged salvation out of you if there was anything like that. But my parents were very disciplined. Where for my father, my mom is still here. My father also was very helpful with, helping me get settled at work. I remember when I had a baby, he would say to me, he would call and say to me, hi, are you on your way to work? I'd be like, yes. Did you get there early? I'd be like, yes. He'd be like, don't make excuses. Don't be telling them that you want to go for baby vaccination 1 million times. Try and arrange yourself so you have vaccination at the weekends if you can. So I said, Daddy, why? He'd be like, I work, these things. Everyone says it doesn't count. But, your absence or your continued absence, for those sorts of reasons would also make you look maybe not inefficient, but not ready for a bigger role. So in those little ways, you know, my parents nudged me because they both had 9-to-5 jobs.
Wonderful. Now, you are the founder of the Lighthouse Network, and I know amongst many other things, is to provide a network for women to have mentors.
Yes.
And to mentor women, teach them, and perhaps birth in your book as well, because your book is a mentorship all-in-one there for women who want to do what you've done or go through your experiences and not have to go through the pains that you went through.
True.
What did you find? You know, you've talked about the challenges of finding women who can mentor you, who would tell you that your ambitions are not overrated. How important is it? And then tell us a little bit more about the Lighthouse Network, please.
Okay. So I started the Lighthouse Network because I was struggling, which incidentally is how the book came about. I was struggling to find answers. I was struggling with little children, and then I'll go for these conferences and I'll find women really well-dressed as you are, you know, both of you. And, you know, they'll be sitting well put together. And now, once they say question time, I'll be the first. I'll be like, yeah, excuse me, how are you organizing this thing? How are you why do you look so well put together? You know, and I wasn't finding the answers that I wanted, or at least the answers that assuaged, you know, my needs at the time. So I started writing a column in Business Day at the time. I'd start writing and I'll say, look, I'm very frustrated. Last week I was late for PTA, or last week I missed PTA. And the answers would come, many. They'll be like, me too, me too, me too. You know, and then people would writing with different challenges. And I thought, look, I don't have all of these answers, but I've got a network of people who I know or who know people that know me. And, you know, together, I think perhaps my role, perhaps I'm just a connector. So, you know, I connected everyone through the Lighthouse Network. And what we typically do there is just help people not to make the same errors that we made. I've got, you know, more than a couple of errors that I made in the course of my career journey that I think if some lady had called me and say, come, my dear, come. You say you're coming for an interview and you have nails as long as talons. You're coming for an interview in a serious space and you have Rapunzel hair. It's not going to work, girl. This is not the way to dress to go for that sort of... If someone had even said those things, I mean, I think that I probably would have made a bit more progress than I did at the time.
Wonderful.
So the Lighthouse Network is set up to make women avoid those kind of... and just rally around and give advice and mentorship. Correct.
It's really about mentorship. It's about helping you on your career journey, helping you on your business journey. So there's a structured form of mentorship. People are assigned to mentors, having filled out forms that help the matching, you know, take place. And then you have minimum physical contacts in a year. Everyone is busy. Then you can do the rest, you know, electronically or by phone. And even if I say so myself, I'm getting great reviews and it's working.
Fantastic. How long has it been in existence?
4 years now. Only 4 years.
All right, great. Now let's move on to the pressure cooker.
Yay.
Oh, yes. Now, one question we ask women almost every Wednesday, successful women we've had on the show is it possible, can a woman have it all?
Can you explain what you mean?
I think you're the best person to ask, you know, from your book with regards to you look well, you know, if you talk about looking good, you look always, you know, well put together, cool, calm, collected. I've hardly seen you lose it. I've hardly seen you lose it. You're always, and then you're tip-top at work, tip-top at home, tip-top in church, because I know you from church as well. And you are so active, yet you don't look ruffled or tired or haggard. So how do you do it?
I'm laughing because I think that there's only 24 hours in a day and you've got to use it correctly. So to your question, can a woman have it all? I think she can if she needs to be ready to sacrifice though. I think that something has got to give, and I can illustrate. I say to people that, I mean, in the times that I worked in an airline, Virgin Atlantic, beg your pardon, at the time, and it was a fast-paced life. You know, I did lots of travels and lots of things. And a typical day would be go to work, you're done with work, maybe they announce a travel, you travel the following day, and then at the weekend, there'll probably be weddings and parties. Now this is where I say, you've got to sacrifice. I knew immediately that some things had to give. I had to drop all of those ashwebis and if they were not work-related parties. Otherwise, you'd find that I'm living all of my life for everyone and not giving anything to my family. I'm not doing the things that are, you know, important for my overall well-being and growth. So you can have it all, but you must, if you're willing to sacrifice.
Does the environment limit in any way, or we shouldn't focus on that? Because Nigeria is quite a tough place for any human being to live in, let alone a patriarchal society, and then, you know, women are still relegated to the background, thanks to women like you in the corporate world that are that have broken the glass ceiling and say, look, you can achieve anything you want to achieve. So how do you succeed? What's your advice to young women that have been harassed, that has had comments made because they went for a job interview and they just give up and say, look, why is it that all men want to sleep with me just because I'm looking for a job? People get that kind of feedback and they're frustrated and say, you know what, to hell with Nigeria and any dreams I want here.
So I hear you. The environment is definitely challenging, but I think that's a place of developing grit. I mean, I say so because there will always be a lion on the street, and I'll explain it. I perhaps would not have gone out today because a car can potentially hit me, or I could have fallen down or something. So there's always a standard risk. I think that you've got to be selfish for yourself and selfish for the objectives that you have set for yourself. So, I mean, you talked about the young girl who has been harassed. That's really bad. And I mean, if she can do a lot of things like hold the person out, if there's a structured way in which she can report the person, I think that would be brilliant so that there's a deterrent. But that said, after that, she's going to dust up and strap herself up and be ready to go again. I think that is only people who can overcome all these myriads of challenges, environments, all the many things that come at us in Nigeria that can really make it ahead and be successful.
I do agree with you.
Wonderful. Now let's talk about life lessons from a woman at work. I've seen some of the chapters, very catchy. The last one is one that I cannot wait to read as well, life lessons from failure, which you said at a point you had to include it because you didn't want people to think, you know, have a false impression of what life had been to you. Could you take us through some of the chapters, what people would expect to read from this when they pick up your book?
Okay. I mean, I think that I don't know if I'm allowed to have favorite chapters, but I have favorite chapters. One of my favorite chapters is Mommy Guilt. And yes, and this is the guilt you feel as a working mother when you're away from your child. I remember, you know, being at work and then the nanny will call to say, your son fell. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I was there, he wouldn't have fallen. This is because I'm working. It's not true. Look, a child falls even when you're standing in front of him. That's the reality. So you've got to read. To be honest, I think that's a permanent guilt you always feel as a working mother. But I think that you must be careful, you know, not to overplay it and also not to be exploited by your children. Because it was my husband who said to me, look, these children are exploiting you. They know just what to do, how to wind you up and get what they want. You better stop it. Yes. So mommy guilt is a reality, but understand that for as long as you're a mother who's working away from her children, that's going to be a permanent guilt.
Just so be comfortable with it and manage it.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I think that my second favorite chapter was about lessons in failing. And you capture it correctly where I say, I hope that I didn't give the impression in my book that life has been a walk in the park. Actually not. I wrote the book because I'd received a lot of bashings on my head. And there were things from perhaps just not knowing how to show up, perhaps learning emotional intelligence a bit late. I think that I found people who, from the first day I started working, who were equipped with emotional intelligence, whereas I had to scuttle through work and life and the ladder to be able to learn it. So I wish there were things that I knew. I wish there were things that people had helped me to find out, you know, a bit earlier. So also about collaboration. I think that I learned in the course of work that all the company wants from you is collaborate to make an idea successful. And not a lot of companies want the star mentality where you are the shining star and everybody is the pleb. So those were the few lessons that I learned that I think, from failing, that I think would be useful so others don't go down the same path.
Brilliant. Now, wise man, I read a quote once which has lived with me for a very long time, and that's that a foolish man learns from his own mistake, and a wise man learns from the mistake of others. So you don't always have to go through certain things to make you can actually learn from other people. Agreed. And that's what Nkuru has done with her book. She has written out, or shared her life with you, put some of her, you know, very important articles from Business Day when you were a columnist there, and put it into a book for people to read and learn, particularly for women. You talk about your spouse as well,
Yes.
you know, having a supportive spouse, how important it is. Very quickly, I know our time is fast spent, but because it's important,
Yes,
with
it
regards
is.
to your spouse, how supportive and how has that helped you with regards to climbing the ladder, executive ladder?
True. So my husband holds a career himself. He's quite supportive. Met me working, understands that work is important, and provides, you know, the right level of support. I think also on the woman's side, it's important that you also provide support and not take things for granted. So you work so the world should come to an end and you don't live up to your duties. I think not. I think actually that women have been working. Think about the women 10 generations before who went to the farm. It's probably not the farm now, but women have been working for a long time. So it's just how you structure to provide the deserved and the desired respect, how you choose to show up, and, you know, how you provide the overall balance at home.
I'm learning. I just learned some things. I'm like, because I want the world to stop. I'm working.
No, I think not.
I tell I'm like, I've been at work all day. You should be considerate. You should think about me. But obviously, I mean, very well said. Now, how can people pick up a copy of your book?
We have got the books online, Jumia Conga, Latana, all the leading bookshops in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, Uyo, Ibadan. And then finally, I think rhbooks.com, rovingheights.books.com, that's my distributor.
Brilliant. So you have no excuse at all not to pick up this book, Life Lessons from a Woman at Work, The Pressure Cooker by Nkiru Olumide Ojo. And people can follow you on social media as well?
Can, yes.
How can they follow you?
It's at Nkiru Olumide Ojo, one word, across Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
All right, wonderful. Would you be having book readings or tours later on?
Yes, we'd be having book readings. We had one at the Terra Culture. We have a couple planned.
Okay.
I think my distributor just needs to share the schedules. I can share it across my social media handles as well.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Having
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, particularly ladies, it is Wednesday after all. This is when Benga feels a bit jealous because we sort of turn it into our own space.
We're going to restructure the program and have Man Monday.
Man Monday.
Next year.
Well, Monday was almost like a Man Monday. But yes, women need this because indeed a lot of people want to break through the glass ceiling and unfortunately it seems so thick. But Life Lessons from a Woman at Work would certainly be a great hammer to break it down and for you to actually move through and cope with the level of work and actually move up as well. Thank you so very much for coming.
True pleasure.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love am.